Yeah, she's getting a bit bright out here, so I had to put some sunglasses on and change my shirt. So you may wonder why I live off grid. Well, there's quite a lot of areas around here. I mean, it's shocking when you think about it. We are 60, 70 miles from the state capital with every flaming service you could dream of. You know, we're using video phones on a regular basis and stuff like that. You know, high-speed internet, you name it, they got it there. All the fandangles that the Western world has. And yeah, it ain't a big deal to even buy satellite phones there. Which I may do a little segment on a couple of ones I found at the RV show. Sort of haven't been in electronics. I have sort of tracked the development of satellite phones in this country. Anyway, why do I live off the grid? Well, as I was saying, we're so close to the capital city, yet there's a lot of areas here which just haven't had bits of the grid put in. And you say, oh, what are they, poor areas? Well, actually, no. Not at all poor areas. People sort of in the town that I will do a few segments on, hopefully, up the road, from me, it was a big gold mining boom town. They were asked, I mean, the privatised, you know, the power system's been privatised now to pay off big debts. That was actually done back in the 90s. But back in the day, they were asked, when the power grid was still owned by the state, they were asked, do you want the power on? And they basically said, no, we don't, because we don't want too many yuppies coming out here on weekends or any sort of, you know, city types who want a little holiday house. We don't want those type of people here. We don't want any more people than we already got. So can you not put the grid in? Yes, I'm not joking. That is exactly what happened. The other town that's actually over that away, I can actually see it from here. They, for whatever reason, they have a few issues with water. And what basically happens is the water line runs on one side of the road. Now, there's literally only about half a dozen houses or less on that side of the road. But the local government, I don't know why, what's behind it, the local government wasn't going to drill a hole under the road. I mean, you can get boring equipment, you see it running at roadworks all the time, where they can bore under the road to put pipes through. And I see it all the time at roadworks. These great big blooming drill things, and they get them all down on an angle. You know, you see them parked when they've, you know, got them packed away. You see them actually working sometimes when you go past roadworks. And for whatever reason, they haven't done that with that town. So you got most of the town on one side of the road does not have mains water, and there's only a couple of houses on the other side of the road and a great big paddock, which does have mains water running against it. And they've got this blooming standpipe on that side of the road that people have got to drive down to. They have these tanks on the back of trailers. Some of them use IBCs in the back of a light truck, and they fill it up and then just sort of take it back to the house, pump it out, go back, fill up again, pump it out. And most of the town is stuck that way. I mean, we're talking about blooming, oh God, more than, oh gosh, it's like, it's more than 20 houses. It might be like about 30 plus, could be nearly 35 houses. Actually, I think it's like 35 houses. When you go right down around the corner around the back there. But, you know, that's the way that town is. And, you know, that's what they face over there. And with me, well, what have I got? Well, up there I've got power lines. It's about half mile up that way. Probably less than half a mile. It's definitely more than quarter mile anyway. I've got power lines. And my uncle looked into getting the power on in 2005, I think it was. I found the quote amongst all his stuff. and he got a quote price back for a 4 kilowatt system. Now, the hot water systems, the electric hot water systems in this country, I'll read the side of them. They're 4.8 kilowatt. He couldn't even run electric hot water. He could run an air conditioner and an electric stove, but that was about it. You know, so to get a 4 kilowatt line in, which is a very, very light line to run in from there, the quote in 2005 was $38,000. Now I'd be looking at, I often say 43 grand, but it could be more that I'd probably be looking at now. It could be 45 or more than 45 to get that power on. And then once it's on, you got to pay for it. That's just stupid. The water line is also up there. Oh, they flaming got such a knickers in a knot when my parents tried to get the water on back in 95 that my parents didn't bother getting the water on either, and so neither have I. And neither have a lot of people in the area, especially with all what that town over there is facing. And so I got no power, no water, and you say, what about phone lines? Well, I could get one, but you're bloody stupid to get one, because literally you can have about 3 cellular phones for the cost of one landline in this place. Plus they'd want to charge me a couple thousand again just to put a phone line in, most likely. I don't know if they do or don't charge, but I do know that when you're dealing with country areas, they string you out for months before they put a phone on, because it's so much easier to send all the technicians doing stuff where the lines are already installed than it is to send a technician out to put in a new line that he's got to drag damn near half-mile away from where the last lines are to where you want to put your phone. And of course, usually the internet and the phone are together here. There are ones hooked under the power lines for broadband internet only, no voice calls or anything like that, just bare ADSL, as they call it, bare internet. In town, they have that. And they also have the ones that hook through the phone lines. It's just one company that's got permission to hang wire under the power lines on the same, on the actual power pole. So they get, sort of 2 internet options: bare internet or internet with voice and a normal, normal phone in there. But out here, once again, just go on the cellular system. It's a bit pricey compared to what you'll be paying if you're on the grid. It's actually double the price to have it prepaid, and I've got it prepaid, and at times I really start thinking maybe I should just get a contract one because it'll cost me half what I'm paying now. But then there's times where there have been times where I don't touch the internet for a few weeks. So I sort of don't really know. I may reconsider that again at some point. But yeah, there's sort of 3 stages that I went through when I first come here because of financial constraints. When I first moved in, I didn't even have solar system hooked up. I literally had a car battery that I would run. I'd charge me hot water jig off. The shower rig would be running off of a car battery, which I'd take back to my parents every week. I'd do my washing at my parents every week. I would, have a little LED lantern and charge the batteries of that every week. I still got that lantern. I use it quite a bit, actually, just for going out, doing something outside at night. In my toilet, which is an outside toilet, I don't have a light, so I just carry the lantern out for that. It's pointless setting up a solar jig for it if I've got this lantern anyway. And I just, charge up the little batteries, 4 AA batteries. I think they're known as UM3 in other countries. The one's about that big. Charge up 4 of them, and I've got a little jig that I've used to charge them up, and I charge them about once a month. And back then I was charging those batteries more like once a week because that was the only lighting I had. And I didn't have a full-size water tank. I had IBCs, and I was running the shower out of that. Just started a generator to pump into that document tub, and that was that. I sort of had it very limited. I, didn't have the fridge system, and I didn't have the water system, and then I got the water system. Me tanks, me overhead tank, and all that at a later date, and built the laundry, and then I started using my washing machines here, as opposed to going to my parents' place. And then I had, I just rigged it into the existing shower system, and then, put in my basin and my tap and all that, and my tap in the laundry and whatnot. And that was the second sort of stage I went through, having water. Yeah, but the solar come before that, I think. Yes. Yeah, so that was the third stage, the water. The second stage was getting the solar and coming home every night to just be able to flick on lights, flick on laptops, turn on whatever I want. That was the second stage. We had a few issues because of some very useless mongrel who runs a battery shop and makes a point of putting his returns on the shelf again. And then I realised a lot of my grief that I was having was caused by bad batteries, and I changed battery supplies. So that was the second stage. The third stage was getting the water on, and the fourth stage was getting a fridge. I made a solar rig and hooked that fridge up, and before too long I'm going to get a propane freezer. So you sort of, worked up from basically living quite, with IBCs and little lantern you had to carry everywhere. I don't believe in oil lamps, kerosene lanterns, whatever you want to call them, because quite frankly they're smoky. I know you got to run them so they don't smoke. You turn it down that low and then you can barely see what you're doing anymore. So you keep trying to just touch it up right and then it'll start smoking on you. They're flaming hopeless. We have better technology than 1800s technology now, and it's called LED lighting. So I highly recommend an LED lantern, and just forget all the oil lamps and all the carry-on that goes with them, and that's just romanticising with the past. It's not off-gridding today, not what I believe. Some people still use them, but quite frankly, they're flipping hopeless comparative to LED lamps. The LED lamps are so efficient, you got to see it to believe it. So yeah, I sort of went from no decent solar system and IBCs to getting a solar system to getting proper water tanks to now having refrigeration. And I've done all that as I could afford it. And at the time, it was not much work around. I was having trouble with money in general. I was just chugging along, let alone advancing. So it took me a while to get all those things. But now I'm in a permanent job and it's a bit different. But yeah, that's sort of the stages that I've had living off grid, and quite frankly, you can do with very little initially and build this stuff into the house and work your way along as you go there. And many people have done exactly that, exactly what I'm saying now. They've moved in with very little and sort of worked their way up. There's not a great deal who just sort of walked into a house, everything completely done first up. And you can do that if you've got a lot of money, but the average person, they get by until they can afford to get a better system. So that's that. That's why I live off grid and stages of advancement I've gone through.